after a divorce, and after the untimely passing of my father. So that's how I became a writer. And, here I am.
From dating to relationships, from sex to love, from Christianity to politics, from darkness to light, you have now entered into the real zone. Welcome to Conversations with Trent, where no topic of conversation is safe from discussion. Now, here he is, Mr. Epic himself, Trent Williams.
What's going on? What's going on? What's going on, beautiful people? Welcome to another podcast. We have to have this conversation here because actually been kind of busy with life, so we decided to come back and get this to you. We're gonna bring D. Let's bring D in real quick.
Hey everyone.
What's going on, D? What's going on? What's going on?
Not much. Busy day Pokemon hunting.
Oh man, we were supposed to have this conversation last Wednesday.
Mm-hmm.
And it's been chaotic on this end for me. My dog was lost, as you know. I had to recover him, so it's a whole situation. But he's home. He's home safe. So good stuff. Good stuff. Good stuff. But good sex, bad decisions. The conversation we need to have. Good sex, bad decisions. Your thoughts?
Everybody does it. Unless and I said that before, unless it's a cultural reason where they weren't dating, it was an arranged marriage or something like that.
Exactly. I know I have. I have. I've made a ton of decisions after the sweat dry. A ton of the decisions after the sweat dry. I made a ton of them. Meaning the sex was good. After the sex dried, hey, I'm going to be in a relationship. Leaving out everything, thinking about that sex, thinking about that jug, thinking about everything in it, thinking about that moistness. I made a decision after the sweat dry. Instead of getting to know the woman, I've been in a couple of situations like that where I went into relationships because the sex was good. It ended up to be very turbulent, bad relationships.
No, everybody has. So you'll see them on social media all the time, and well, other than sex, what else you guys got together? And they're like, nothing.
Exactly. Well, now you do know some equal good sex to love.
Mm-hmm. That is true.
Have you ever? Are you sure?
I'm positive.
Okay. All right. Okay.
Yeah.
Well, all right. Well, let's say what's up to the folks out here real quick. We got Richard McLean out of Pontiac. What up, brother? What up? What's going on, brother? We got Wendy in here. Wendy, what's up, Wendy? And we got Slash, of course, your favorite. Grand Rising Melanated people. Greetings, Princess Di and Mr. Epic.
Where's Shannon at today?
I think Shannon's dating pool is actually overfilling.
Oh.
I think she's on a date tonight. I think she's on a date tonight. So good stuff. But we're gonna have this conversation.
Sounds good.
Real talk. We'll have this conversation. But actually, I was talking to a friend of mine, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I asked, with every topic, I call them up and ask them, their thoughts on certain things.
Right.
And she had a mouthful to say. What
did she say?
Well, first I asked, hey, have you ever had good sex and made a bad decision during and after? She was like, yeah, one that lasted 3 to 4 years, solid.
Oh, wow.
So some of her thoughts was, she said she knew exactly who the guy was. She knew exactly who he was. And, she jumped head first. Knowing who it was just about sex first.
Mm-hmm.
They had chemistry, had super chemistry, but they both were kind of reluctant to explore.
Right.
And it was just a sex thing. So it lasted And she said she didn't want to be his wife, didn't want to be his wife at all. But it lasted for 3 to 4 years. And it went from, she said she was honest, she was open with it. She said her nose was open wide. And his as well. So they could, it's almost like, I mean, you know, these situations where the sex is good and you both know it.
Yeah.
And that's all you go for, the sex.
Yeah.
It was unspoken. It was unspoken understanding. Let's just say that.
Yeah. I moved
to the point where she was speaking at an event and she saw the guy walk in and she hadn't seen him for years and she had recently gotten married, right?
Right.
She dropped everything, grabbed the briefcase and tried to get to her car.
Really?
And guess what? Guess where he was? Standing at the car. You're not going to say hello? But that's how connected she was to him physically. She was afraid to be in his presence because she knew that it would go further. And that's some toxic shit.
That is toxic because
that's some toxic.
Yeah.
That's some toxic. And she went on with this for 3 to 4 years, man. And she said, you know, she knew exactly the reason why she was able to move forward and get married and all this other stuff. And actually, she told me that her husband actually relieved her from that pressure from that guy. She met her husband and she started dating him, and they went, you know, they've been married for a number of years, you know, the husband. But she said that she knew who the guy was. She was just connected to him. So from a woman's perspective, I wanted to know, how does it get that bad?
I've never been in that toxic a relationship before. So
now,
there could be some trauma behind there too. Because
I don't think she thinks that there was some toxic stuff in there, but I think it is because
if you have to leave the room because somebody walks into it, there's toxicity there.
So? Do tell.
Well, some people say it's the energy transfer.
Okay.
Because we're all forms of energy, and so they say if you transfer too much energy, there's a soul bond, and it depends on how new age spiritual you want to get. Personally, I think it's about your attachment.
Here's the thing, and you know what? Speaking of attachment, she also said that they would take a break during the year. Summer months, they'd be together every single day. Every single day. We're talking about professional people here.
Right.
The summer months, they'd be together every day. Every day. You know, physically, everything. Right. They would take a break after the summer and come back to the same thing.
That's like they're doing a reverse cuffing season? What? Because everybody else does it the other way around.
I mean, and honestly, as she was talking to me and I was interviewing her, man, I could tell that she was really reminiscing going back. I was like, maybe you need to go back and get that good thing. She was like, oh no, I don't need that in my life. Yeah. And she's still connected to this guy.
Oh, look, your girl Marty said the same thing.
Oh, Martini?
Yeah,
What's she say?
There we go. I kicked it with a guy for far too long because of improper soul ties due to sex. On and off for a few years, she says.
Exactly. Any of you guys, any of you women, explain the improper soul ties for the audience that don't know. Soul ties. Explain what the audience.
Everybody has a different definition. For me, soul tie is when your energies have combined, so that no matter like how long you stop talking to each other, that connection is still there.
Right.
And so for some, it's really good. Like me and you have a soul tie, but it's good karma. It's not bad karma. It's not toxic. So we're still friends. And we still discuss anything. But other people will have a soul tie where it's solely related to sex, and that like it's like two magnets whenever they're near each other.
Exactly. What up, Purse? Well, I tell you guys a quick story on my soul tie that I was actually completely and utterly stuck with this woman, man. I made a decision after the sweat drive, but damn, the sex was good. Mm-hmm. I mean, it was fantastic. When I say fantastic. She called me. I could be in the middle of a flight. I'm going to get that. That's how connected we were. That was a soul tie, but it's a toxic soul tie because it was good sex. The relationship was good, in the beginning, but I was more attracted to the sex and the things that she did to me. And I was just drawn to it. I couldn't see the forest for the trees.
Yeah, and
it was off the chain, and for her as well. And I still had that type of connection with her, the physical connection, not the
mental,
not the mental, the physical connection. So just seeing a text from her or vice versa, there's still chemistry. You know how you could actually, if you get a text from that person in the middle of the day, and you can still feel that vibe through that text. That's dangerous. I'm like, I'm not messing with that. I'm not gonna mess with that because I know it's toxic for me. I had to actually get away from that.
Yeah,
it was that good. It was that bad.
That's why
you know what I mean.
Completely no contact.
Exactly.
So
exactly. And she knows that. She knows, and I'll be the first to say, you know, I'm transparent on it. Sometimes I still get affected by those texts, and she asked me to come over one day. I'm like, I don't know. I don't know if that's good. We can't do that. We cannot do that.
I moved to Toronto because of a guy like that.
Do what?
I said that's why I moved to Toronto, because of a guy like that.
That's right. You know what?
You forgot. Yeah.
I'm not gonna put your business out there.
Here is the funniest thing though. The moment I knew that I was like, I had to just like walk away, is we went to visit somebody, like one of his friends or something, and he told the wife, she goes, I'm going to marry her. And me and the wife both looked at each other, and we both made that contact where, you know, women will have the entire conversation without saying anything.
That shit's not going to happen. Right.
Yeah, and she said that. I looked back and was like, yeah, no. And that was it. That was the last time I spoke to him.
So let me ask you something. So, damn. That's right. You know what? I think I was in your life during that transition, I believe.
Yeah, you came in after him, yeah. Because I was in Toronto then. What a mess though that was. Yeah.
Exactly.
Handsome man, built like a god. Could not spell truck. He was dumb as a board.
I remember the conversation from back in the day about this dude, man. Oh. You know what's so funny?
Such a waste of a human. Oh my god! Even now, it just makes me mad. Like,
wow. Yeah, I remember that. That's funny. That's you were you were sprung.
Yeah.
You were sprung.
I moved two provinces. Funny. Yeah, of course. So, yep, we all do it. Not everybody moves, but we all get sprung.
Let's get to some of these comments here. Let's see. Martini says, once I left him for myself, there was nothing. Yeah. Great point.
Yeah.
So how else did you get away, D?
I'm ex-military. I compartmentalized. I just cut no contact, and that was it.
Then you actually got an American.
Yeah. Let's not even go down that road.
That's funny. But it was good though. It was good. You know, it was good.
Oh, I thought you were talking about my ex-husband.
Nah, because I think I was before the ex-husband. You guys were just friends.
Yeah.
So yeah, I was before the ex-husband. So yeah. I should have stayed my ass over in Canada. But anyway, we're gonna leave that alone. Good stuff. Good sex. What you say now?
What does Slash say?
What do you say? Let's see what he said.
I'm thinking one or both parties must be whipped to hop out of bed and into a situationship.
Well, actually, hold on one second. We're gonna get back to that one. Slash Urkel says cold turkey, D.
Yep, cold turkey.
No more. I'll say more.
Zero.
I want you to expunge on that. Go ahead.
I'm a big fan of zero contact when it comes to toxic people. So it's basically block their email address, their phone numbers, everything, and just act as if they do not exist. It takes you a cycle of about 3 weeks.
And you know what's so
before
funny?
You get the urge to text them, and then you're done. You're good.
You know what's so funny? I think during our relationship, we kind of went cold turkey on both of us went cold turkey because I left Michigan and transferred to Houston.
I ghosted you long before you left Michigan, man.
Knock it off. It off. But the sex was great though.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
It was great. So, but I mean, it was different. Real different. But it was great. The sex was great, and there was no bad decisions within that relationship.
No, that's good.
That's good
It's all
stuff.
good.
Good stuff, man. Good stuff. So let's get back to Slash real quick. You want to take that one?
I'm thinking one or both parties must be whipped to hop out of bed and into a situationship. Yeah, pretty much. One person gets their nose wide open, and that's it. And that's how you end up with all these entanglements.
Exactly, and that's what I was speaking about in the piece, Slash, when I'm talking about making a decision after the sweat dry. Like for me, a few people, I've made a decision after the sweat dry. The sex was so good, I jumped in the relationship, knowing I had no business. She didn't deserve to be with me, and I didn't deserve to be with her. Be honest with you, just tell her how it is. So we had no business being together on either side, and I made the decision after the sweat dry.
Oh yeah, I dated a football player. He didn't like black women in public, but he did in private.
Wait, say that again?
He didn't like black women in public, only in private.
Now, was that after me or before me?
Before you. That was college.
Okay, gotcha.
And there's like a whole lot of self-hate going on there with him.
Exactly.
So
how did you deal with that, though?
I didn't care because I didn't want to date him in public either.
So wait a minute. So you guys were sexing and everything?
Yeah.
So you was good with that?
Yeah, because I would I knew his mother and his cousins and everything like that, and even his mother's like, "You need to stay away. It's just bad." I'm like, "Ma'am, I'm just using him for sex," and she's like,
exactly.
Like clutches her broke because she was a churchgoer, but
wasn't that the Canadian?
Yeah, he was Canadian. He's from back home. Yeah.
Well, yeah. All right.
He went off to play for an NFL team after college.
Right.
Yeah, it's
know exactly what you're talking about.
And he married a white woman, and she
cleaned him up.
Cleaned him out. Took all his money, his house, his cars, everything.
I know exactly what you're talking. We're gonna leave that alone. So, let's see. Kim's. Hold on one second. Oh my God.
What?
I'm getting these private messages. They're asking me about you.
What?
You want to hear this?
Sure, go for it.
The question is, excuse my French, but this is exactly what she's saying. You used to fuck her?
Yeah.
We were in a relationship. It was a relationship. It was a good one though.
Mm-hmm.
It was a good one. I can't believe you saying that.
Why
unnamed viewer. I'm not gonna call your name.
Why does this seem like a shock?
What you say now?
I said they seem shocked.
Exactly. I don't know why they seem shocked, but hey, I'm friends with all my exes except for one. But no, good stuff though. Good stuff. Let's get to these comments real quick. I can't believe you said that.
Oh, I think we're good. They're quiet. Okay.
Going the wrong way. Yeah, so tell us more about what Ursula was talking about with the
cold turkey.
Cold turkey. How does that work?
Cold turkey is also a concept you use with somebody who's a narcissist, like somebody who will twist everything down that they're saying back onto you.
Right.
So it's all about very brief. If you have to talk to them, it's very brief. You never get them into a conversation. So cold turkey for me is just I just cut you off completely, and that's it. You no longer exist in my world.
Wow.
Mm-hmm. Wow. It's a toxic trait, but it works.
Exactly. So after ghosting me, but the relationship wasn't toxic. Why did you cold turkey me?
Because I was transitioning out of the military.
That's right.
So that's a whole different thing altogether.
Exactly. Ursula also says that toxic people sometimes need help.
Toxic people always need help. It's not a sometimes. It's an always.
So Ursula, what you saying? So if the person's toxic and you know they're toxic, are you going to continue with that relationship, try and walk them through their pain, or what?
I don't know.
We'll see. We'll definitely see. We'll definitely see.
Do we try to help them?
Yeah, that's That's an appetite for destruction, man.
She says, "Do we try to help them at any point?" She said, "Yes,
Oh wow.
try."
You can try. Yeah, you could try, but
Yeah.
I've been very unsuccessful in helping toxic folks.
Well, people won't change until they're ready to change.
Exactly.
So you can do or say whatever you want. Like I know people who I can't coach because they're not ready to be coached.
Exactly. But
So
sometimes you have to go in with the mindset. If you're going to stay in that relationship and you know that person's toxic, you have to be straightforward with them. Say, hey, I'm going to hose you off, but you got to put your clothes on.
right,
I'm going to wash the mud off you, but you have to put your clothes on.
yeah,
So if you're straight up with them, that's cool. You know what I'm saying? It's real cool. But if not, time to push on.
yeah.
Because you could actually go down that rabbit hole with them. And I've actually experienced that a couple of times myself, trying to help someone, knowing that she was super toxic.
You can't try to be Captain Save-A-Ho. It doesn't work.
Exactly. She pulled me directly down into the hole with it.
Yeah.
Not once, but twice.
You see it all the time. People talk about what's the word? Struggle love. I'm
Say
like,
that again.
struggle love, where it's very toxic. It's always up and down.
Exactly.
Like that's not what relationships are supposed to be, because people have some people have inaccurate views of what relationships are based on what they grew up with or what they've seen on TV or what trauma they have. So for some, even a relationship is
I'm glad you
trauma.
brought that. I'm glad you brought that up. I wrote a piece years and years ago, and I used to speak on it at events across the country. It's called Quality or Quantity, right?
Right.
And in that piece, I spoke on the woman. You know how women, mostly women, but predominantly women say this: I can't give up these 25 years, all this time. I can't give up all this time.
Mm-hmm.
But if he's been cheating for 15 out of those 25 years, where's the quality in that relationship?
So yeah, there is no quality, and it depends on the age of the person, because there's it's called betrayal trauma, post infidelity stress disorder. It's a type of PTSD, and what it is basically because you've been betrayed, everything that you thought in your life is basically a lie, because you go
Wow,
back
that's
to
deep.
when did they stop loving me and when did they start lying about it. All these things that we had planned, this
Exactly.
whole time they were lying about it. So there's a huge it's an industry that's actually untapped if somebody was going to go into counseling, to be honest. The whole betrayal industry,
Right.
because so many people are working through it, but there's nobody to help them, because you'll see a lot of these people out there like Esther Perel, and she's a flake. Don't read her books when it comes to relationships, because she's like,
Right.
you have to do what's best for you, and she condones cheating, and I'm just like, no, 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 you can't do that.
Exactly. You
And
know how many people reached out to me after the podcast we did? It was a few of them back. They didn't know anything about the 5 steps of grief and loss.
mhm, it's
And what
important.
you're speaking of is just like the 5 steps of grief and loss,
Yeah,
going through these different changes. And the reason why they find themselves in these situations because they don't know how to get out of the process.
yeah.
They don't know how to remove themselves from the stages, because you're going to go through these stages,
Mhm.
whether it be death, whether it be relationship. Because when you lose a relationship, that's just like someone's passing.
Yeah, it is. You have to grieve.
You have to grieve it through. You have to move through the steps. You have to move
Yeah.
through the stages. I was surprised that many people, I'm talking about people our age. It's like, I never heard about 5 steps of grief and loss. Really?
Mhm.
You know, I mean, I'm not looking down on it, but I was kind of surprised.
Yeah, but we're both trained coaches, though. So
Exactly.
the average person, unless they're working the industry, don't know about it, because everybody avoids talking about grief. A lot of our age people don't talk about their emotions,
Exactly.
especially within the Black community, and so it's hard to get people to understand that these things that are happening are trauma, and some of these relations are traumatic relations. They're toxic, and the only way out, no matter how many years you put in, is to leave. And then once you leave, then people are like, "Oh my God, I didn't realize how much peace I didn't have."
Exactly. And that only happens when you get to greener pastures,
Yeah.
man.
I met a lady who went from her parents' house to her husband's house, and she was calling me from the grocery store. And she's like, "D," I'm like, "What?" She's like, "I have no idea what I like to eat." I'm like, "What do you mean?" She's like, anytime I've ever cooked in my entire life, I was either cooking for my father or my husband. Nobody's ever asked me what I wanted to cook. was like, damn. I'm like, well, girl, just go up and down and whatever you look like you like, try it.
Let's get to the comments real quick here. Let's see. Ursula says to walk them through the pain. Okay. Gotcha. She's not repeating what we're saying. She also says that
go back up.
Go back up?
Up one more because Marty has a...
Gotcha.
She goes, I called him and told him that I could no longer fool with him, and he cried, real tears. Oh, girl.
Wow. That was some super red flags. Hopefully you didn't respond to that, Martine. Yeah. That's some super red flags. Slash says that go ahead.
I think he means hurt people. Some folks are immune to their lovers, partners, and friends' toxicity, believing they may change, often raised in chaos. Often the most physically appealing people are toxic.
Exactly. Totally agree. I totally agree with that because I was super toxic at one time. And I sprayed it any way I could. So, yeah, I totally agree with that.
Yeah, it's... and sometimes and going on his physically appealing was because they get away with it more.
Exactly. Yeah. Exactly. You get more chances when you're easy to look at.
Oh, yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So I
totally agree. And it's about 28 after the hour. We're going to take a real quick break.
Okay.
We'll be right back after the break, folks.
Thanks for tuning in to Conversations with Trent. We will be right back with more conversation after these commercial breaks.
Check out the creative work of the author Trent Williams of www.taylorkennedymedia.com. Chapter of the Delta gives us a peek at his life-changing events. And if that's not enough, Trent tells you more about his brothers and his life through memoirs in his book, The Four Horsemen. His blogs and daily stimulating quotes are published in his book, Life's Little Addiction. And when you have a need of some human coaching of life and relationships, take a look at Conversations with Trent, Volume 1 and 2, and Conversations with Trent, Limited Edition. You will find his works available at Amazon, Barnes & Noble, and all online book retailers.
If the lion is the king of the jungle, how can he be the king of the jungle? If he's not the biggest, the elephant is probably one of the biggest. He can't be the fastest because that's a cheetah. He can't be the smartest. So he's not the biggest, the fastest, or the smartest. So how does a lion become the king of the jungle? His mentality.
Welcome back to Conversations with Trent. Ladies and gentlemen, if you're online and want to be a part of tonight's topic, you can do that by dialing 347-324-5327. Press the number 1 to get into the queue so that your voice can be added to tonight's conversation. Now, let's get back to the show.
All right, folks. Good stuff. Let's get back to the topic here real quick. I'm a conversation with the young lady I spoke to about situationship she was in. I asked her a question, a direct question. I said, after the entire conversation, I said, were you victimized? And she says, no, I wasn't. I was a willing participant.
Mm-hmm.
Like she really took responsibility for her part in that situationship. She said he wanted it, and they made it a thing for 3 to 4 years.
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah.
Honestly, that's the only way you could actually come out of a situation like that. If you're honest with yourself, you know exactly who that person is, and you're not delusional about that person and their going ons and what have you.
Right.
That's the only way you can get out of a situation like that. Now, if you're delusional about it, if you know he's a tramp, and oh no, we're gonna be married one day.
Denial's not a river in Egypt, that's for sure.
Exactly.
There's lots of people still in denial. Like they're friends with somebody in a situationship with somebody for 30 years, and then they die, and their like best good friend is written on their obituary, or they're left out or something.
Exactly. Hold on, Martini got a good one here.
Said, I stopped speaking to him for a couple of years, and he got married and annulled and married and divorced within the 3 years that we hadn't been around each other. Whoa, geez, that's quick.
Ooh. So she's saying she hadn't seen him again, right? Yeah.
Wow.
Good stuff. All right. Makes sense. So, quick question for you, D. Have you ever been victimized?
No.
Never?
No.
Come on, give it up.
No, it's I've always been a willing participant. My personality doesn't allow for that. I'm a control freak.
Do tell. Go ahead.
I'm a control freak. I always I'm very big on setting parameters and boundaries, and asking people what stage we're at, what's going on, what is the plan.
Right.
So that we have an agreement going fully forth. Because remember, I was in the military, so I was gone a lot.
Exactly.
Right. So
I mean, what I can remember, we had a ton of fun, and a lot of it was spent in bed, enjoying each other, indulging in each other. So it was a ton of fun though, but it wasn't toxic at all.
No, because we're not toxic people.
Exactly.
And we had tons of fun doing stuff outside bed too. So just so we're clear, jeez, have people thinking a whole different way. I'm like, no.
Well, the sex was good. Come on, I can't deny that. It was good.
I would never deny that. All right. So then we talk about people who, so I guess back to, and I'm sorry, I got a football to the face today, so I'm not as, I can't talk as like I usually do.
Gotcha.
I missed a catch or two. So, when people are in toxic relationships, there's usually a reason behind it. And once people come out of that toxic relationship and they start doing some self-evaluation, a lot of time they'll realize, and that's where the ownership and the accountability comes in. And once they find, who was it? Was it Martini said she left him for herself?
Right.
Once somebody leaves somebody for themselves, they will never go back to that person.
Exactly.
Because that
was a great point, Martini. Great point.
Yeah. That's probably the teaching point of the entire talk.
Exactly. So Slash says, you want to catch that?
So is this on the basics of one-night stands? Is good sex the culprit for perhaps making bad decisions? I think one-night stands is a totally different thing, because that's usually very... both people are agreeing to it. I'm thinking more long-term, like people are in toxic situations.
And honestly, sometimes, the majority of the time, one-night stands turn into a whole situationship.
Yeah, they can.
So they can. So I've been in a ton of one-night stands, but that was from traveling, going from city to city. Mm-hmm. But what I find that in my past experiences, one-night stands, if the person's local in the city, the same city with me, that toxic carried on. So that was a bad decision on my part again.
Because it was an easy lay wherever you're going.
Exactly.
I get that. Exactly. I know people who do a lot of events, so they have like friends in different areas, and they have like a cheap place to stay at an easy lay while they're there. So
it was real easy, man. You keep in contact with them because I know I'm gonna come back through the city. So let me get this number, and constant contact, and you carry on with that relationship, whether it be a side piece or whether it be, I was a side piece or the person that I was dealing with was a side piece.
Right.
I kept in contact. So that was still a poor decision. After the sweat dry, I continued on with the situationships.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. Oh, I get it. So what does he say? Sounds like that episode of the Brady Bunch. Hope you'll be okay. Yeah, it's just Marsha. What episode is that?
I don't know. I don't know. Slash, do elaborate on that. Let's get to your next comment.
Yeah. Listen, I get footballs and soccer balls to the face on a regular basis. I step on donkey god boots.
He says, hey yo, Mr. Epic, are you talking? Do you talk
taking him behind the velvet rope?
You got to take them behind the velvet rope, man. I mean, they won't know. If they're in situations like that and they're still stuck, I got to bring them behind the velvet rope to show them my mistakes so they won't have to go through them. Or if they've gone through them, they'll know how to get out of them. So, yeah, I take them behind the velvet rope every once in a while. Right. I'll be, because that people won't take me serious or take this platform serious if I wasn't transparent. Actually, I shared a piece from a follow over at Instagram, and this lady was bearing her guts, saying that she was thanking me for posting my physicality and everything that was going on with me, and she had a heart attack and she couldn't make her own bed for 2 years. So the only reason I could reach her because I was so transparent in the videos and all this other good stuff. So I try to continue to be transparent on the conversation platform because that's the only way you can come across authentic, man. It's the only way you can actually move people forward, in my belief.
Well, people like honesty and authenticity because there's so little of it on social media.
Exactly.
You see a lot of the influencers and whatever, and they do these staged stunts and everything. So authenticity is not really big.
Exactly. So if I've reached one, I've reached a million of them. So I'm good with pushing people forward and putting myself there to show them that hey, there's room for growth.
All right, bring Marty's.
That's a great add on, Mark. Mark says,
Marsha got hit in the nose.
He's talking about the football. Explain what happened with Xavier.
Oh, we were just playing. He was playing catch and he threw it really hard and I missed, basically. So I tried to tell him to aim for. I tried to aim for the main body, but he aimed for my head and it just didn't work. Gotcha. I'm not a good catcher. Let's just put it that.
Exactly.
So yeah.
Okay, here she goes, Marty. Can you get that, D?
Before I came to Georgia, he's spoken with me about having changed and wondered if there may be a chance for us. No, he's the type of dude who needs help. That's mainly why he pairs up in a marriage.
So my question to you, Martini, like we talk a lot, we speak a lot. So my question to you is, why does he have access to you still?
Good question.
Why does he have access to you? Why is he able to contact you? Because I know for a fact, like I know this one particular woman, I want no contact with her because she's toxic. The sex was great, but I know she's not good for me, and vice versa. So there's no contact, access denied.
And some people will change partners over and over again instead of changing themselves.
Great point.
Yeah.
Great point.
And that's why you tell people, like, if there's something wrong with everybody, you always go back to the common denominator. It's not everybody, it's you.
It's you. Exactly. it's you. It's you. It's actually you.
That's like when somebody tells me, oh, gee, there's no good men out there. I'm like, there's plenty of good men out there. It's not the men that's the problem, it's you're the problem. You're picking your pickers off. It's wrong. You need to fix your list.
Exactly. Here she goes. Here's Martine.
No. There's a guy who attempted to keep me as a hookup chick for when he come to Michigan. I was like, nah, good girl. Good for you.
Exactly. That's what I'm talking about, Martine. That's what I'm talking about. So when I wrote the topic up, I was thinking about these videos, man, with these women, all these bitter women. And Good Sex, Bad Decision came to mind. I was talking to Slash, and we're having a conversation, and he said something. He said, we're always having these conversations. And he just threw out Good Sex, Bad Decision. I was like, that's it right there. Mm-hmm. But when you get these women with these bitter tastes in their mouth, I'll often wonder when I'm reading or listening to the videos, I'm like, what decision did you make? Did you make it after the sex or before the sex? Are you mad with yourself? The anger that you're showing, are you really upset with yourself? Are you really upset with yourself that you made that decision? You allowed yourself to be opened by this man, by this character, and now you're upset with all men.
Yeah.
So that's where the whole good sex, bad decision come from. So, I mean, at some point, that's for the females and for the males, you cannot go around blaming every single woman or every single man who hurt you. The people didn't hurt you. Just move on. You move past that. Move past it, make better decisions.
Let's go back to the move passing, because if there's trauma involved, you can't just move past it. You have to work through it.
Yeah, you have to work through it, but you have to be receptive to it to work through it.
Yeah.
You have to. So honestly, stop throwing yourself in a dating pool and going, trying looking for your Mr. Right.
Well, that's
you
why.
Still focus on Mr. Wrong.
Well, that's where Martina got said she dated her. She left him for herself. And a lot of people, there's a problem with a lot of people are not comfortable with dating themselves, like going out to dinner by themselves, like going shopping like going somewhere and like going to the movies by themselves, going to a concert or something by themselves.
Exactly. Yeah. And at this age, man, you'd be very surprised how many people contact me. And I say to myself, some of these stories that I hear on a daily, like, wow, you are not ready to be alone.
Mm-hmm.
But you need to find a corner and just work that out for yourself.
Yeah, because if you have to be able to be at peace with yourself before you can really be at peace with anybody else.
Absolutely. That's the only way you can move forward, man. But if you're constantly badgering and putting down these guys, and we're talking about women for a second, you're constantly talking about men are bad and all this stuff. You're still thinking about Mr. Wrong. Mr. Right could be 5 feet away from you, but you can't see him for all the mess that's clogged up in your head.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
You have to cleanse yourself before you could actually get the right guy.
Yeah, I told one friend who was dating this whatever guy, I said, you need to move him away because he could be sitting in the spot where your husband's supposed to be sitting.
Exactly.
So yeah.
Exactly. Now, how many women and men, for that matter, has done that? I know I have.
No, I think probably most of us.
I held the space up for so long, 5 years long, knowing that I had no business being with that woman. I held that space for 5 years because the sex was good.
Well, some of us do it. Like, look at people who get out of divorce and they're like, you know what? I should have done this 20 years ago. Exactly.
Let's get to Martine real quick.
She said, I've had the same phone number for nearly 30 years. I don't hate him. He only called a few times.
Gotcha. Good stuff. She also says,
I've only blocked a few people. I usually don't have toxic unions.
That's what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
Good stuff, Martine. I'm not surprised at all. Yeah. And she also says,
we're still cool, but I'm not sexually attracted to him. Yeah.
Does he know that, Martine, that you're not sexually attracted to him? Because a guy will try because you're very attractive. Let's just be honest.
I see. Yet I'm not friends with guys I've dated, only cool with them.
Okay.
And then Slash came back with another comment.
Where is he?
Right above the last one you just did.
I see. Yeah. Uh-oh.
We need Shannon. I'm not very good with this.
She'll be back on Wednesday.
She says that's just small-minded, small-scale thinking. Put a bad juju out into the universe. Yeah.
Absolutely.
And he says 5 years, Mr. Epic, was that on a one-way street?
5 years. I mean, I kept her around. I mean, we were together. I would not pull the trigger. I didn't pull the trigger, so I kept her around because the sex was good. And honestly, she had me. My nose was wide open. So she had me. She had me. And I didn't pull the trigger. I had to. I know I should have. I knew better, but I didn't do it. Even the best of us get caught up.
Go back up one. Go up one. Said there may be two dudes I've ever fooled with that I feel nearly hatred for and will never speak with them again.
Okay.
And then she says, "Yep, I'm comfortable with my own self,
That's what I'm talking about.
with my damn self." Sorry.
That's what
Yeah,
I'm talking about.
it's and once you realize how toxic they are, most people will, if they've done the work, will run in the opposite direction.
Now this is an epic comment.
I bring myself joy. Yeah.
I love that. I love that. That's good stuff there. Good stuff. A lot of folks don't bring themselves joy, man.
No.
A lot of folks, it's very hard for them to be happy for themselves.
There's a
Again,
reason.
I'll say that again. A lot of folks, it's very difficult for them to be happy for themselves.
There's reasons for that.
Do tell.
So, a lot of people aren't able to laugh, like really guttural, primal laughter, because growing up, a lot of children's emotions are stifled by parents. Like, why are you making so much noise? Why are you crying? Stop crying. What are you laughing for? All this stuff, right?
Right.
So and that's reinforced over and over again. So then as they get older, then they're not able to release those emotions. So
Exactly.
the inner critic is constantly telling them they're not worthy, they're not enough, they're not lovable, all this stuff. So they can't feel ever joy for themselves because nobody's ever felt joy, showed them what feeling joy looks like.
Exactly.
So if you don't know what it feels like or what it looks like, you can't do it. So
It's Slash again. Good. Can you get that one?
he goes, "You didn't pull the trigger. Nowadays, women are dropping down on one knee like elate. Perhaps you weren't the prize, my G."
I could always depend on Slash to give me nothing but the truth.
Yeah.
Absolutely. And actually, I knew I wasn't the prize. And maybe that's what kept me going, staying that long and buying her love and the sex and all that other good stuff, because I knew I wasn't the prize.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I totally agree with that, bro. Totally agree with that.
Yeah.
So Martin also says,
she says, "I truly want a dope ass man in my life. I'll start getting out of the house more." Yeah, he's not going to show up in your living room.
absolutely.
If he does, he's broken in and you don't want that one.
but it also getting out more. But I know her well. I don't think she's talking about going to the club and finding this guy, because
No, who goes to the club to find men?
you'd be surprised how many women do that.
Yeah, the club at our age, if you're going to the club and finding man, there's something. Yeah, no.
Something. Yeah, exactly.
Art galleries, museums, the grocery aisle and Target will find you a better guy.
Or maybe at Home Depot. Wink, wink.
Yeah, Home Depot. You have to go early at Home Depot though. All the work guys are in it early. I do that because I used to flip my parents. So background information to that, so people don't think I'm going to Home Depot early in the morning. I grew up with parents who flipped houses, and so Home Depot was like my second home. I knew where everything was, so everybody knew by name. So I knew that if you go to Home Depot at opening, that's when all the construction foremen and all the guys are there.
Right.
Getting their supplies for the day.
Slash also says,
"Ayo, Mr. Epic, it ain't tricking if you got it." Lord, don't encourage him. Lord. He'll have to walk sideways through the doorway. His head won't fit through.
That's funny. That's good stuff. Good stuff. Let's get to the teachable moment about the good sex, bad decision, D. What was your thoughts on the teachable moment?
I think the teachable moment is what Martini said, that let me scroll up because I don't want to bear with me. No, cold turkey. Oh, it's closer to here. Once I left him for myself, there was nothing. That's the teachable moment there, because yeah, it is. It's very good because it actually loops everything in together. Because if you are in a toxic or traumatic relationship, once you leave and you reclaim your being, then you can never go back to that situation.
Exactly.
And anybody else who brings up who is similar will immediately bring up red flags that'll prevent you from going back.
Exactly. And ladies and gentlemen, that's called finding yourself within yourself. Mm-hmm. And what she said was a very powerful statement. She probably didn't even realize it. Yeah. She left for herself. Yeah. She left for herself. That's extremely important. she found herself within herself, and now she's not taking less with nobody. So yeah, that's a huge teachable moment. Appreciate that, Jewel Martini, real good stuff. She also says, go ahead.
Oh, I love laughter. People who cannot laugh or have deep conversation been shushed all their lives. Yep,
Exactly.
it's very true. And people don't realize how detrimental it is to stop children from laughing or having emotions or engaging, because that what they do when they're young affects them long term.
Right,
Like
right.
like telling Mike, one thing I hate more than anything is telling little boys to man up and don't cry. Because you tell that boy to man up and don't cry, 30 years down the road, his wife is like, why can't you show emotion? And
Exactly.
he doesn't understand it's because from the time he was 0 to 7, he was told, man up, don't cry.
I
And
have
now,
a friend right now who's going through a similar situation by not being emotional to his wife,
mhm.
and she's having a hard time with him expressing himself. So yeah, I totally get that.
Yeah, it's and if there's a great book, The Body Keeps Score. It's about how we hold trauma within our bodies, and it has a lot of exercises to help you release trauma. Um, but I'll warn you, do not uh, start any of the book or the exercises without having a therapist,
Exactly.
because it will mess you up.
Bad.
Hmm. Yeah.
She also says,
I'm big on being genuine and being free and fully expressing myself. I've never shushed my children or my friends or family. Yep, good.
exactly. And you know what's so funny? I'm glad she mentioned that. Most folks run from a person who's very expressive, who actually tells the other person how they truly feel and
Mm.
express themselves and what they want, their wants and needs. The average person who's not there gonna run.
Yeah,
They're
and
gonna constantly run.
yeah. So and when we talk about expressing yourself, we're not talking about the jerky people who are like, I'm just going to tell my truth, who are harmful. That's a toxic trait. It's just about people who are being honest and authentic, and it's honesty and authenticity is very difficult if you are going through any type of trauma, or
Exactly.
you're in a trauma brain, because it's hard for you to, if you're not released from that, you take a lot of responsibility upon yourself. It's unnecessary where you shouldn't have to. That's a whole
Exactly.
other forgiveness is a whole other conversation.
Exactly. We're gonna have that as well.
Mm.
A lot of folks are struggling with that forgiveness thing. It took me 8 years to forgive. So
I don't believe in
actually a little more than 8 years. It took me 8 years to get over it, but I didn't forgive. Once I got over it, I still held something within me. So it took me a little longer than that to forgive, my ex-wife for all the mishaps and what have you. So
Yeah,
yeah, we should have a conversation on it.
I don't believe in forgiving toxic people, because it's toxic. They haven't done anything to earn it.
But yeah, you got to have to actually explain that one because you have to, honestly, I'm a true believer, and you have to forgive to let go.
But you're not forgiving them, you're forgiving yourself, because you're not truly
Explain.
because what happens is, with forgiveness, in order to have true forgiveness, there has to be accountability on the other person's part, and there
Right.
has to be remorse. So forgiveness and an apology go hand in hand. You can't have forgiveness without the other. So if you say you're forgiving somebody, you're not truly forgiving them. You're forgiving yourself for the part that you had in it,
I get that.
right?
I get it.
And
Yeah.
so
That's
when
called
people,
taking responsibility for the toxic you brought to the party.
yeah. So when I tell people, I'm like, you don't
Mhm.
have to say you forgive somebody. It's not necessary.
I
Like
get it.
you can move on and work through your trauma without it.
Slash
Uh,
says,
Marty Girl, seems that ATL isn't showing you love. Too bad you left me with the check on our virtual date. Oh well.
"Oh, come on,
Oh,
Slash." Oh, he's talking
what?
about when they were talking. They were actually talking online here. This is months ago, maybe last year sometime.
Oh, okay.
She got dumped him on a virtual date.
Dude, what'd you do to get dumped on a virtual date?
So Slash, is that a little bitter taste in your mouth? I'm just asking for a friend.
Well, I need details. What happened? You can't just leave me like that.
That's so funny. That's funny. That's so funny.
Yo,
That's so funny.
that's not right. I'll find out.
Yeah, he should. He should give details in a minute. He'll come back and give details in a second.
Yeah,
He'll come back and give details in a second.
but yeah, it's interesting because there's so much emphasis on forgiveness,
Right.
but not the reconciliation part of the forgiveness. Right? So it's all about the person who was abused or affected or traumatized almost being forced to forgive.
What
Whereas
does that look like? Tell me, what is that for the viewers? I know what it looks like, but tell the viewers, what does that look like?
well, like telling, like, you see it on court cases, somebody gets murdered and the people forgive the murderer.
Right.
Right? Like, but yet the murderer has not done any reconciliation.
He hasn't reconciled.
They have
Correct.
done anything. They have, sometimes they don't even apologize and they're like, "Oh, we forgive you." I'm like, "No, stop being the better person, because it's going to stick you in trauma. You're not going to get through the trauma if you don't work through it. And forgiveness of the person that has hurt you is not required."
Good stuff. Good stuff. Real good stuff.
So, oh,
I get it. Martine says,
Martine came back. What did she say? "Total deal breaker for me. You talk too much. If anyone says that to me, they're released forever." Yeah.
That's true.
I had a guy tell me I was too smart once. Like, what?
Really? How does
Yeah.
that look?
He was an
I don't
idiot.
get that.
Yeah. He wasn't that bright. And so, like, he was a nice guy and everything, and it didn't really matter that he wasn't that bright, because he was mechanically inclined,
Wow.
so he could fix things, and like he had an excellent business and he fixed things. He's a great businessman. He just didn't have the conversation of, like, where he could talk about anything, and it bothered him. So it's
Go ahead. I'm here.
no, it bothers him that it could do that. MJ, pull up Slash's comment.
One second.
So I keep hearing Princess Di mention the term "man up." I disagree. Boys are raised in a variety of different settings, life, learning, and sports, having so many instances both Mr. F and Guy were raised. All right, so now we're going to go into I'm a conscious parenting coach. So this is what I do. And when it comes to boys, there's a lot of things that are said to boys over the period of their growing up that causes all the issues they have as grown men. And it's when they tell them don't cry, you tell them to man up, tell them toughen up, all you can take it, all these little comments that are said to silence them and their emotions and their feelings.
He added to the comment.
Yeah, because still we aren't emotionless. It needs to be explained better to a growing mind.
Okay.
So with children, and I'm a conscious parent, so I'm all about children having a voice, and that children are able to ask questions, they're able to disagree with their parents, and that their emotions are allowed. Like Xavier is a very, very good kid. He does have anxiety. So as we were working through learning his coping skills, he would have what he calls tornadoes. And so he would get out of control, and I would be like, just keep going, get it all out, and so that we could talk about it afterwards. And it's all about allowing children to express themselves fully. If they need to cry, allow them to cry. And it's not about temper tantrums, because I'll tell you 85% of the time, if a child is having a temper tantrum, their parents are the cause of it. We take kids out, make them miss a nap time, make them miss a meal time, tire them out, and then complain when they cry and get tired and cranky afterwards. I'm like, well.
So here's what we're gonna do with the good sex, bad decisions. So part 2 is we're gonna do a part 2 on Wednesday. And we're gonna talk about the forgiveness on the other side of the bad decision. You with that?
Yeah. So go back up. Marty Girl says, "I don't use the word forgive in my conversations." And then I don't use the word forgive in my conversations. And then she says, "Wait, what, Mark? Right. Those teachings, stupid, totally not required." When it comes to, we need to have a conversation about raising boys.
Okay, we definitely will. We'll do that. We'll do that, but we'll get to that after we finish this one off. I think That's a conversation for the forgiveness after the bad decision.
Yeah, that works. That makes sense.
And then we'll roll it into raising boys, because actually I got a couple of calls on that. You spoken on that before, and it kind of confused a couple of folks. I totally understand where you're coming from. So if you could actually break it down in layman's terms and give it to them exactly how you teach it, I'd be very appreciative of that.
Yeah, we could do that.
Okay, good stuff.
And I live my teaching, so it's I model my teaching. It's not something. I'm not a do as I say, not what I do person. What I teach is how I raise my son.
Absolutely. We'll end with the last comment from Mark.
I'm a conscious parent as well. I'm sure I told my son to man up, falling off a bike or whatever. I learned to provide context. Man, you never tell a child that. You have to forgive. What Mark say about something I said or done? Never.
Martine, I think it's about that whole date thing, the virtual date thing that you guys were going back and forth with over. I think it was last year sometime.
Yeah, he said you made him pay the check. Where is it?
Hey, Poohface, I see you. So she says, Poohface says, you have to forgive. Not saying forget. Okay, got it.
I disagree, but we'll explain why on Wednesday.
We'll get that. We'll get that in part 2 on good sex, bad decisions. We'll have the forgiveness after the bad decision. So we'll talk about that on Wednesday, Poohface. We'll definitely talk about it on Wednesday. Hey, good stuff, D. Good stuff. Good stuff. Real good coaching, man. So much appreciated.
Not a problem.
And before I get off, I'd be remiss not to thank the folks that helped me with Kobe. Kobe was lost, and we got him back. So he's home, safe, and heaven, whatnot. But he was lost for a day. So he spent the night away. I struggled that time. That's why I actually canceled the show. I had a real bad time last week, with him missing. So appreciate the folks. Much love to everyone who actually was involved with recovering him, and really appreciative. I'm very appreciative. And gratitude to you guys. Good stuff. Any closing remarks, Steve?
Nope. Just love yourself, be at peace, and work through your stuff.
Good stuff. So again, like I said, we'll be back on Wednesday. We're talking about the forgiveness on the other side of the bad decision. So from the good sex, bad decision. So we'll see you guys on Wednesday. And I think Shannon will be back. Maybe she'll have a good day. I'll call up and see what's going on. All right.
Bye, everyone.
Bye-bye.
Conversation with Trent in conjunction with Taylor Kennedy Media and your radio network would like to thank you for calling in and listening to tonight's episode. We hope that tonight's conversation offended you just enough to turn your mirror inward to come back for more. So until next week's conversation, be epic.